the Mrs. America contest.
Georgia, 29 years old, married 6 years, from Atlanta.
Hi, I'm Marilyn, and I symbolize Atlanta's phoenix bird, rising triumphantly from flames of disaster.
She didn't win, but she was chosen Mrs. Congeniality. Mrs. Carver is 30. She has 2 young daughters. She's a picture of married respectability in Atlanta, where she runs a beauty salon for hair and makeup. But there's a different Marilyn Carver in the latest Playboy, which shows a lot more than we could ever show you here. Take my word for it. And not Barry Manilow. He is not what you see in Playboy. But we can show you Marilyn Carver live with her husband, Michael. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm sure so many of the women who look at Playboy magazine have one question when they look at a woman in there. Why? Why do you do it?
Well, the reason I did it is probably different from other women. I did it because I am so atypical from what I would have expected for Playboy. I'm a 5-foot, short-haired female mother in my 30s, and that had a lot to do with it because I figured if I was ever going to do it, it's now or never. But also I'm a makeup artist, and I spend all my time making other people beautiful, and the opportunity to be in front of the cameras and have me be the star, it was strictly ego.
But did it give you pause to have so much of you in front of the camera?
The first 2 hours I thought I passed out cold. I was terrified, but I had a wonderful photographer, and it was not sexual. It was artistic, and I really feel that way.
Well, was this a joint decision? Did you advise or consent?
Well, I was asked, and my answer was go for it. And
but why? Again, it's so difficult to imagine that a husband would want lots of other men poring over pictures of his wife.
Well, you're talking about a magazine that, in our opinion, was totally different than the other skin magazines that are out. This is almost a tradition in America. It's in the Library of Congress. It shows women in a beautiful way. And nudes have been around since Greek statuary.
So it didn't bother you at all?
Not
a single quiver of concern. What about your children? Did either of you worry? Eventually, they're young now, but eventually when they take a look at it?
The reaction basically was one of total amusement. We have all found it so strange and funny to think that Playboy would ever call me. I mean, understand, they elicited this. I did not call them.
How much did they pay?
I made about $1,500.
But it wasn't the money?
Not at all.
It was ego, then, I guess, is what you're saying.
Strictly ego. It was, again, I couldn't have done it at 18. I wouldn't have done it prior to having the security of a husband, a career, and a career that I couldn't be fired from, like so many other women who have done it. But security was there, so it was all right.
I read once that you said you wanted to show your body off before, I guess it was in the magazine, before it collapsed. I don't know if that was
well, it drops every few years, a little more.
What about your neighbors? Have you, do they have difficulty meeting your eyes now? Have you noticed any difference?
Well, I find that my male friends will not discuss the publication as much as other females do. And everyone seems to like it. We've received no negatives.
And how did you feel about it after all? Did you like what you saw? Were you proud of it?
I was very proud of what was finally used. They shot 185 rolls of film, and certainly I felt the pictures were very pretty and in very good taste. They, in no way, as I say, did anything that I was ashamed of, and I'm very pleased with the results.
Mrs. Carver, Mr. Carver, thank you both. I guess for all of us who have looked and wondered why, we have one answer this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. And when we come back, a man who put out a potentially disastrous fire in Phoenix.